15 minutes. Kevin Klein, councillor for Charleswood, Tuxedo, and Westwood, joins us now. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, Al. How are you?
Excellent. Hey, let me ask you our question of the day. I want you to answer our question of the day at CJOB.com. What grade would you give the city's snow removal program so far this winter? A, B, C, or D, or F?
Well, you know what? I think I would have to give it a C plus right now.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm a C, maybe a B. By the way, C, number one answer at 29%, B, 25%, 20% are giving it an F, 15% a D, and just 10% say an A. So really only a third of Winnipeggers, not scientific, it's just people that go to the website to vote, CJOB.com, about a third, only a third are giving it an A or a B. So, but that doesn't surprise you, right?
No, it doesn't surprise me. We've heard in my office from many residents that have had issues with snow clearing. They were having issues with the ice. There's all kinds of issues going on, and it takes up most of our time every day right now.
Yeah, I'm getting lots of text messages and emails from people complaining about their particular streets. I said sometimes I think we can be a little impatient, that I think we do a pretty good job here in Winnipeg getting the main routes taken care of after a snowstorm, but then several people pointed out streets to me where that's not the case. And I didn't specifically ask this question, but many of the people texting and emailing are saying, where's the sand? And that is a question that you are asking too, and I have put a request in to the city of Winnipeg. I've asked the question point blank, is there a sand shortage? Because you're hearing that there is.
Well, that's a great question, and I have been trying for over a week now to find out from the city whether or not we have enough sand. And really, isn't that the biggest problem? Why should an elected official have to play games, have to jump through hoops, and listen to spin? Every time I try to do this, I feel like I'm listening to that Dead or Alive song, You Spin Me Round, because we don't get the direct answer. So I heard from somebody who works with the city, who does snow clearing, who called to say, you should know, and I've now had more than one call, we don't have enough snow. So I asked the question, what is our minimum 3,000 tons per yard, because we have yards set up around the city, and if so, are we at our minimum, are we below, are we having trouble? Very easy questions. They weren't meant to be rude, they were nice. I've asked it a couple of different times, and I always get back, we're working on things are okay, things are great, things are good. And but that's not answering my question. Was very basic. We have a minimum requirement. It wasn't that long ago that a person took a city to court and sued them over their lack of snow clearing that caused some issues. And that went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court sided on the residents' side. Mm-hmm. That this is one of our major responsibilities, snow clearing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And listen, you and I have talked many times about transparency and the runaround that you sometimes get from different city officials. I've asked the question, too, on the media line through an email. I've said, do we have a sand shortage? How much sand is being put down? How many trucks are out there doing it compared to, other years? So we'll see if I get an answer. But, again, unsolicited, I heard from many of our listeners saying, where's the sand? Because if you're out, snow clearing is one thing, and I get it. We've had a lot of snow. It can take a while, especially those big piles at street corners. You're trying to stretch your neck out, to look around the corner to make sure it's safe to go. I get it. That's a lot of work. And I think you can make arguments that the city does a pretty good job. And I think some people are valid in their comments that maybe we're not doing as good a job as we could. But the sand, when you pointed that out to me that you'd been asking and not hearing about how much sand we have, do we have a sand shortage? I thought, that's a really good point, because in my travels, and I'm not out there much, but in my travels, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of sanding going on. And you're right, slippery streets are an issue right now, for sure.
Well, I've seen, I think on one day driving home along Portage Avenue, I saw 4 accidents in a span of 25 minutes, and that was just from sliding. Yesterday, a truck slid through an intersection, and I don't think he was traveling particularly fast, but slid right through an intersection, and this is on Kenniston. These are major routes that have to be taken care of. So my question, I think it all gets back down to, yes, the information, but here's what I think one of the problems is. We never heard about the beet juice. What's happening with beet juice? We know some major companies now, retail organizations that have big lots to have to clear, they use beet juice. What happened to our beet juice? We know we have it here in Manitoba. We know it's a locally produced product. And if you look at our snow budget for the last 7 years, Councillor Gillingham, who's been our finance chair, the snow budget has remained the same for 6-7 years, and every year we spend more. So I don't know why we're not looking at it, and you'll always hear them say policy. It's got nothing to do with money. It's got to do with policy. We're very tight for finances. So do we have a problem with getting more snow? Is it a money problem? Like, what is the issue? And really, I don't want to sound negative, but unless somebody tells me the truth, I have to go down the path of assumptions. And that's really where I am right now, because every year if we spend more money, obviously we're not planning appropriately, and the policy needs to change.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a few people are saying, well, I saw a sand truck out today. We're not saying they aren't outstanding. We're just saying, is it happening as much? And as you point out, several people, you're hearing from more than one person that there is a sand shortage. I've asked the question. We'll see what the city says. To the snow budget, though, it is difficult to get an answer on how much. Remember back in the day, Kevin, we would hear, this particular 8 or 9 centimeter snowfall is going to cost X number of dollars to clear. We don't hear that anymore.
No, and that's the information that we really need to hear. It shocks me because you would think, Hal, that we know we're going to get snow every year. It's not like it's new. This hasn't just happened. And the amounts do vary year to year. But why wouldn't we have a snow fund? Why wouldn't we budget, X amount of dollars, and if we don't use it all, put it into a fund to use for next year, because we don't know what those charges are going to be. This is a very liquid issue, right? I hate to use the term liquid, but it changes all the time, your snow removal. It changes from day to day, and right now, we could use sand on streets that maybe don't get sand from a policy perspective because of the safety. But, it goes back to the snow budget and being open and honest about what is going on. And I think that's the frustration that many residents share with me. If you just tell us what's happening, we're adults, we can take it. And we'd like to know what's happening. And sharing that information, I think, is the best thing to do. But it just does not happen at City Hall.
Final question before I let you go. Many people will say to me that because the city uses private contractors, that's where they see the problem. That they think snow clearing got worse when the city relied more heavily on private contractors. Do you think there's anything to that?
Well, there could be. I think, again, and this is something I've tried to do, as you know, is I'd like to see the contracts. I'd like to see how do we hold our contractors accountable? How can we hold them accountable? And how do we say, listen, we're having lots of complaints about streets, this isn't done enough. Under the contract, you're supposed to respond by this amount of time, by that amount of time, or you get a fine, or we take money back. I don't know those details. And they don't show you those details. That's all third party. They got to keep that secret. We have far too many secrets at City Hall because that is a great question, Al. And we don't know because they won't tell us what's in those contracts.
Mm-hmm. Back to your comment about beet juice. I know I remember asking Sam Cates when he was the mayor about pickle juice and beet juice. And you're right, there are other jurisdictions that are using it with success, and we haven't really heard anything about it here. Now, maybe there's a reason we're not using it. I don't know. But I never have heard anybody say, we looked at it, and it's not for us. But listen, Kevin, I got to let you go. You've started a great conversation here. Lots of text messages and emails rolling in. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Hal.
Kevin Klein, councillor for Charleswood, Tuxedo, and Westwood. Our question of the day at CJOB.com. What grade would you give the city of Winnipeg snow clearing efforts? And keep your text messages and emails coming. 204-780-6868 or Hal at CJOB.com. We'll take a break, check the weather, and when we come back, we're going to talk about buying a mask. What is the best mask? What should you be looking for when you're out there buying a mask? Great report from Global News' Consumer Matters reporter Andrew. When we come back, it's Hal on CJOB.
You're listening to Connecting Winnipeg with Hal Anderson on